a subject close to an awful lot of people's hearts. The number of people that I talk to at the moment around this election who say, I'm going to vote for whoever's going to fix the potholes quickest, basically, is a big deal. Potholes have been a big deal in this country for a very long time, and we've been one of the few places that you can actually talk about it. We talk, of course, very regularly to Mr. Mark Morrell, a.k.a. Mr. Pothole. We're going to talk to him right now. Also, Stephen Cook is here, Managing Director of the Asphalt Group, because the story came out at the weekend about electric cars and pothole damage. And I've been saying this for a very long time, that the sheer weight of electric cars, the weight of electric vans, the weight of electric buses must have a deleterious effect, surely, on the state of our roads. Let's find out first from Mark Morrell. Mark, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Now, I'm amazed that people haven't said this before. I've been saying it for a long time, that, you know, it might not be that potholes are all caused by electric vehicles, but certainly you would expect, because they're so heavy, that they can't be doing the roads any good, can they?
No, not when the roads are in a poor condition in the first place. Not only the weight, the initial load that the wheels put down on the tarmac is far more aggressive because the torque that comes off the electric motors.
Yes.
But they're not the cause, but they don't add to a system where we've got a crumbling network. Well, if you see the report that was in the newspapers, you know, there are 11.5 million potholes and defects on our roads. Not what government and authorities choose to tell us, because, you know, nonsense is local authorities can define their own depths and size of a pothole. So on this show, I could get rid of 99% of all the potholes on our roads by saying I'm going to move to a intervention criteria and identify a pothole that's got to be 30 centimetres deep and it's got to be 1 metre wide, and therefore you get rid of all your potholes on your road, but they would actually work on.
Yes. And how long would that take, do you reckon?
Well, it just needs to the councils to adopt that situation. They're allowed to have any depth or size for their intervention criteria. It's not been challenged in court. We've got a nonsense of postcode lotteries of the type depths of potholes. You know, some will leave up to 10 centimetres deep on a rural road that could be lethal to a cyclist.
Yeah.
I mean, years of underfunding have created this situation.
Well,
Materials, which is one of the issues as well. We don't always use the best materials, and I think you're going to talk to someone about that.
Yes.
But, you know, that Stanley app I talked to you about that I've been using has now produced these figures, and there's more to come from that, because the strategic road network, 20% of that's been covered. So we're looking at data that's produced there. There's no hiding place for authorities to say, oh, 1 million potholes and we're going to do this and do that. No, the public are generating this. Over 7,000 people have downloaded it and using this free app. It's a true picture. And I want to use it as a stick to beat up whoever comes as a new government to do something rather than talking it, and create a coalition of all those interested parties around on our roads to say once and for all, it's actually better to invest. And I'm doing some work with the economic group that says that it's costing £14.4 billion a year because of badly maintained roads. I want to produce a model that proves that government need to invest. It's the smartest thing to do.
Yep. Stay where you are if you don't mind, Mark. I'm just going to go to Stephen Cook now, who's Managing Director of the Asphalt Group. Stephen, very good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning, Mike.
As we were saying, I mean, you know, I'm not suggesting that it is the sole fault of electric vehicles, but certainly there has to be some connection to the failing state of our roads and the pothole problem getting worse and worse and worse, quicker and quicker, and the number of these really, really heavy vehicles going around.
Well, I disagree really in terms of the size of the vehicles. I mean, essentially, roads have evolved over the years. The strategic road network has increased its support to take 44-tonne lorries and the like. But ultimately, the biggest problem we're facing is local authorities doing preventative maintenance. You know, as an example, over a 12-year period, surface treatment has declined by half over 12 years, and potholes have doubled. So it's trying to get the asset managers into the mindset to be able to focus on preventative maintenance to ensure that the network.
And when you say preventative maintenance, do you mean do you mean just for the layman's kind of explanation? Do you mean literally kind of, you know, resurfacing a road?
No, not resurfacing a road. So ultimately, there are systems out there and solutions where once a road is resurfaced, it can then be maintained and preserved to ensure that it lasts for an extended time of its life. As an example, preventative maintenance costs just a third of what it would cost to resurface the road,
Right.
and also it reduces carbon emissions by 3/4.
Yeah, I don't care about carbon emissions. I care about the state of the road. But I mean, the point about if you're not resurfacing the road, how are you fixing the potholes then?
Well, by preventative maintenance, you're stopping the potholes from forming. So there are
Yeah, but
systems.
what does that mean, though? I don't understand what preventative maintenance
Yeah, so obviously currently we're in a situation. It's having the right solution. So, for instance, we have a reinforcement product which will go under a road surface before it's resurfaced,
Right.
which will bind the road together and reinforce it, adding strength into the pavement
Right.
to extend the life of the asset to stop the potholes from forming.
Right. Okay.
And
So it's
in
almost
5 or
like
6 years' time, you can then lay
you're sort of
preservation on top.
so you're putting a surface over it before you resurface it. In other words.
Correct. Once you've dug the road out, there are systems out there that you can put in to then stop the reflective cracking from coming through and stopping the potholes from forming.
Okay.
It's in that it's instead of having a reactive maintenance, it's having the asset management approach to actually make the asset last longer. Instead of being reactive like we are and then creating in further problems, we need to be looking at it from the beginning to extend the life of the asphalt to stop it from cracking.
Right. Okay. And is it a lot more expensive to do that than it would be not to do it, I suppose would be the question.
Life cycle costing wise, it's not. As an example, we reinforced a road back in 2008. Here we are, a few years on in 2024, and we're still showing less than 4% cracking on that road. 100% mark it was at in 2008. When that road was resurfaced with say our solution, they actually National Highways UK at the time were able to also do another road with the same pot of money. So they effectively got two schemes for the price of one.
Yeah. So it's very well worth doing. Mark, how much of this kind of work is being done, and does it depend on the councils individually who might spend different amounts of money, I suppose, on fixing potholes?
Yes, it's a very useful technique, and it's when the surface area's got cracking and crazing. If the road has failed and therefore it needs some of the base course work doing, you either need to do permanent repairs before you do the system or complete resurface.
Right.
It is a very useful tool. Yes, cost effective. But yes, it's down to councils. But the trouble is you get councillors that just see, oh, we're going to do surface dressing. They don't see that you actually do a lot of work beforehand, because I've seen surface dress roads where they wanted to spend the money. They haven't done the repairs to the potholes 6 months beforehand to let them stabilise, and because then it fails. It's like a lot of these things. If it's done correctly and without, they need long-term funding to plan it better, because it's very reactionary. Yes, it's very good, but we need to properly, fully plane off and resurface roads. We need the surface roads to catch them at the time they need to have that work carried out, to stop needing that in that place. Other areas we need permanent repairs carried out, not splashing in a bit of tarmac. There is a number of tools in a toolbox to do a job, and it's no different with our roads. But the real answer is resurfacing our roads. We need an extra £3 billion a year from central government to put in place an annual resurfacing programme, and that needs to be index linked, because I believe it's costing the economy, from that report, £14.4 billion a year, and we're seeing tragic loss of life. I think I sent you a message earlier about that poor motorcyclist.
A motorcyclist in Kent, who died because he hit a pothole. Yeah, absolutely horrific story.
So said it wasn't there 3 weeks beforehand.
No.
Well, judging by the size and the description, I bet that was there. But they would say it didn't meet their intervention criteria. But using Stan would probably prove that was actually there at the time, because they're using Section 58 defence in the Highways Act, and they are abusing it in my opinion, because of they're playing fast and loose because of the lack of money.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. Mark, good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed, aka Mr. Pothole. Stephen Cook as well, thank you, Managing Director of the Asphalt Group, who's got solutions, but who's got the money to pay for them?